Happy Wednesday, you guys.
Hell yeah. Well, it could be happier.
It could be a lot happier.
True.
Yeah.
And hello to you, the listener, as well. This is, again, I think we recorded on Wednesday last week. During the winter and through the spring, we try to get episodes recorded by Tuesday. But of course, like Tuesday nights, the exact time we record was the exact time that Oregon State men's basketball tipped off at the Kennel in Spokane, Washington. And so it would have been, I had the idea yesterday afternoon, was like, we should do a live show. While we're watching the game, like, can we get playback on the line for this? And I am really happy we didn't do a live show for that game.
Man, it would have been miserable.
We would have just quit. And maybe we would have like started somehow playing like GoldenEye across all of our screens, and that would have been awesome.
I've been playing a lot of Hitman 3 lately. Highly suggest it.
On what?
So good.
On PS5 or
Xbox.
I forgot you're an Xbox guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
I used to play Hitman 2.
I remember the first. I remember Hitman. I don't recall a Hitman 2, but it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
And
But
it's taking
Hitman
up a lot of
3
your
has
time.
all of the cities or areas that Hitman 1, Hitman 2, and then Hitman 3 has a whole nother plethora of places that you can go and be hired to hit people.
It's like when Grand Theft Auto
Poke 'em a lot.
San Andreas came out.
Die.
Oh,
Wow.
sad.
Yeah.
Sad.
Life of a hitman.
Right.
It's tough.
So is that how you blew off steam after the near 40-point loss to the Zags last night? It's probably a healthy way to do it in video game form.
Yeah, I would say so.
Nice.
Yeah. It's therapeutic.
Nice. Well, that guy who has been spending a lot of time playing Hitman 3 is Benjamin Lawrence.
Yeah, look out for him.
A.K.A. Benny with the good quaff.
Getting good.
A.K.A. Benny Bedlam. A.K.A. Benny Hitman, because he's fucking poking folks.
Fucking crazy.
Fucking crazy.
Definitely poking people left and right.
At Benny L 1986 on the Hitman 3 online play servers. And yeah, watch out. Watch your fucking backs if you're playing.
Don't talk
Hitman
shit.
3. I know why I said it hit like
Don't do
Hitman.
it.
Hitman 3.
Hitman.
I said
Hitman.
I kind of like that.
It's like
hit
the
a-
Office
hit a-
episode of
when Michael comes back from Jamaica.
No, where they had they had nationalities taped to their forehead.
No.
And the one person had Jamaican. Kevin was like, "Do you like to get high?" And it was Angela, and Angela was like, "No," and he was like, "I think you do, Mon."
Perfect show.
So good. Yeah, it was a great show.
Nice. What did you do after the loss last night, JP?
I don't remember. I think I watched. Yeah, you know what I've been watching, and I don't know why, but I've been watching. I used to love Deal or No Deal like so much. The game show.
Right? Oh yeah.
I don't know why I was so hooked on it. It was just like the most mind-numbing, like basic game
It was like
ever.
the most simple game. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't
just
even
putting
really
a
a game,
briefcase in a
Total
number,
chance.
and just,
but you had to know.
Yeah, I had to know where the $1 million was. But there's a Deal or No Deal Island, I believe, is the title of the show.
I've been very
And I
curious
can't-
about it, but not curious enough to watch.
Yeah, so I've watched 2 episodes, and honestly, it's no different than like any other like Survivor-esque show. They're already talking like making alliances and like who's a bad person and who to watch out for, or
Who is
has
here for the
immunity.
wrong reasons?
Yeah,
I think we should make it illegal for anyone on reality TV to say
Right.
someone else is there for the wrong reasons. There are no wrong reasons to be there. You're all just trying to
Yeah.
get famous and make a buck.
yeah. It's like I don't know. I guess the most of the show is very boring because it's just like rehashed reality TV that we've seen for the last 20 years. But the best part is when they like are about to go home. Like if they're essentially like voted off, they can stay on if they beat the banker in a game of Deal or No Deal. So I still get to kind of watch the main purpose of the real show. So I spent a lot of time watching that last night, I guess.
In 60 seconds or less. What's like the island part? Are there like Survivor like challenges or something?
Yeah, there are, but like they're clearly just like filler TV. Like there's this one
just
elderly
to get to
lady.
the original reason why we're all here.
Yeah, like I mean, I want to call her elderly, but she's older than everybody else. She's like 70, and she's like in the first little like challenge, she was like, oh, like flailing around in the mud, like couldn't move, like I can't get up, and like I can't walk. And there's like a video clip of her like literally crawling like away from the end of the challenge. Like I don't know, like clearly like she was trying to be bad at it. And then of course she was like a damsel in distress. So there was like all these dudes who were on to like help her. And one guy did jump in and like saved her. And she was like, oh, I've just been fooling them the whole time. Like, so like some of it's, clearly scripted. Some of it's clearly.
I was just going to say that's clearly the call an ambulance, but not for me.
Yeah. That is that meme to a T. I'm rooting for this lady, but I don't know how long she'll make it.
Okay. Nice. Maybe I'll tune in.
There is an island. They
supposedly
live on the island or stay on the island, but they don't have to like. I haven't seen like their living quarters, so either they're in little tents on the beach or they have like a hotel. I don't know.
Okay.
I would be there for the hotel.
Yeah.
I feel like I would vote for the hotel.
It's probably off the coast of Fortaleza, Benny.
Man, that sounds nice right about now.
It's never too late.
For multiple reasons.
It's never too late.
Tonight, I think actually it's the premiere of there's a documentary about the O.J. Simpson murder or not O.J. Simpson murder, depending on your take.
Okay.
It could have been Eminem and Marcus Allen as he rapped about.
Do we need another O.J. Simpson documentary?
I don't know, man. This? Netflix usually doesn't disappoint when it comes to this sort of stuff.
Yeah, but they reuse so much material. I mean, like not with like video wise, but like context wise.
Of course.
Well, and I've noticed too that they'll have shit that comes out in unison with like other platforms, like Fire Festival. There was
there came out at the same time. There was some drama with that because some of the guys involved in planning the Fire Festival were the producers of the Netflix doc, and that was
really.
Why that one, Jerry Media helped produce of Fuck Jerry on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
their claim was that they were just like hired influencers to help promote the festival, and nothing was like their administrative oversight. But
which was Netflix, absolutely the take.
I absolutely love both documentaries. Music Festival gone wrong content is like. It's cracked to me. That's my sweet spot. The Woodstock 99 doc on HBO is widely regarded as a good documentary, but a little too long because it's like 2.5 hours. I would have watched like 20 more hours of that shit.
Oh, well, I have a story for you then. It happened in 2009 at the Pi Kappa Phi house.
I don't need the documentary.
In Corvallis, Oregon.
I lived it. It wasn't our fault. Okay, now I'm back on Fuck Jerry's side. It wasn't our fault. It was someone else. I'm not going to say who. I'm not talking yet. But yeah, wait, have you watched the Aaron Rodgers doc on Netflix?
I don't want to.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
And so,
I did watch like an episode of that or two.
Oh, it's episodic?
I don't know. Maybe not. I watched some of it. It was when my brother-in-law Taylor was in town. He wanted us to watch it to see how insane Aaron Rodgers actually is, and it does.
Does it make him look insane, or is it like pro Aaron Rodgers?
It's very pro Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but I mean, it tries to be. But I think as a viewer, it doesn't like sway your perception of him by any means.
I talked to one person who is swayed,
think
and
he's crazy.
Like, you've been had.
Jordan Poyer shows up on it.
Oh, Poyer is in it.
Is he friends with Rodgers?
I didn't even realize this was.
They were on the same retreat.
The same darkness retreat?
I'm sorry, what kind of retreat?
I thought the darkness retreat you were supposed to be by yourself.
No, it wasn't the darkness one. It was like the peyote retreat.
He goes into a dark room for like 3 days and doesn't talk to anybody.
What was this retreat? It wasn't peyote. It was...
ayahuasca?
Yeah.
Look, I'm not hating on ayahuasca, but Aaron Rodgers being like, I don't need any of this shit. I've got ayahuasca. And I'm like, you should still probably go to training camp and be a good teammate.
Yeah.
You asshole.
That's called having a problem.
Dimensions.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that guy who watched a little bit of the Aaron Rodgers documentary is JP Bertram. At the Trill J on Twitter. That's at the _Trill_J because he's too Trill to be real. Sorry, Taylor made you watch that. You're also at JP Bertram on Instagram. Doing this at the top. I'm still a little rusty with it.
Yeah. And at jp.gobeavs.app on Blue Sky.
Oh, nice. I still haven't polished off my Blue Sky. I'm on it. I'm just spending less time on social media as a whole, and I'm enjoying that. Even though I know we need to be on it to connect with listeners, of course, but also just connect with the Beaver fam in general. But yeah, I'm liking the less social media part.
If you were to have to pick a time, to
step aside,
now is probably a good time.
This is the one.
Right.
This is the one time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just
YouTube.
YouTube comments. I love every YouTube comment we get. Even you.
Me too.
Kyle, I think. I love the enthusiasm and I love the dedication. And that guy who loves the enthusiasm and the dedication is me, Terry Horseman, at Terry Horseman on Twitter, at Terrence Horseman on Instagram. I'm hanging out and I'm in Minneapolis. This is the week, the past 2 years when I've been in Mobile, and I'm not this year for a couple of reasons. New job made it difficult, but also the Senior Bowl didn't invite any Beavs this year. I think they would have invited our guy Joshua Gray, who we'll talk about, but the Shrine Bowl got him first. If you're listening to this on Thursday, January 30th, the Shrine Bowl is tonight, which you should tune into on NFL Network, because our guy Jared and Joshua are gonna kill it. If you love watching offensive linemen in college all-star games, then there's a really good chance you're as big of an NFL draft sicko as I am, and I want to be best friends. So DM me. I will go on social media just for that DM.
You know what I love about that game most is they all get to wear their team's helmets.
I love that.
And I noticed that the two Beavers were wearing
scripted helmets,
different Beavers helmets, which was awesome.
I know, exactly. But so I'm not in Mobile, but I am wearing my credential from last year's Senior Bowl just to get in the spirit and to put some orange on, because I'm just wearing, I have just a regular gray shirt on. And, because we're about to get in the beer segment, I'm just giving an ode to nothing specific, but enjoying a beer in my credential. I hope that's not against the rules. I hope I don't get kicked. Maybe I'll get kicked out of last year's Senior Bowl by doing this. But anyway.
Yeah. You're going to be stripped of your credentials.
Right. Well, the Senior Bowl, media relations team is welcome to come up here and take it from me. I don't think they would. They're a good group. They're a good group.
Is that like a gun owner saying is like, you can come and take it?
Come and take it. I'm going to get the same silhouette, but it's just a little rectangle off of like a lanyard. I'm badass too. These are, I have a right to be shit-faced at this game I am covering. I love it. So sad to not be in Mobile. I think, Benny, we've talked about, like, we need to find JP's sort of like redheaded stepchild city, because it's kind of the way Benny loves El Paso. And then I love Mobile. And yeah, it's just like it's not the type of, I don't move there. I don't go there and be like, oh, I want to move here. It's just like, oh, I want to know more about this place.
I've never been to Alabama at all.
I want to drink with some locals in a bar and hear some stories. I was there last year. I went earlier to get all of the things, and I was there for like 6 nights. And by the end of it, I was like, this is too long of a time to be in Mobile. But it also coincides with the start of Mardi Gras, which you think Mardi Gras, you think New Orleans, but the Mardi Gras, the American Mardi Gras traditions really started in Mobile. So they go pretty crazy for it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I did not know.
Good thing to know. Shout out Mobile. It's a fun town.
I have to go.
You have to go. Yeah. Well, next
I
time.
have to go.
You have to leave? You
have
have to leave right now?
Yeah, I have to go right now. I have to go yell at Senior Bowl president Jim Nagy for not inviting Beavs. When there are like inevitably 7 Beavs in the game next year, maybe we can all go, and it'll be a fun guys trip. It's always the weekend before the Super Bowl.
Okay. Oh, so what a fucking boring Super Bowl.
I was about to say of all of the S bowls that are happening over the next 10 days, Super Bowl is at the bottom of my list. I got Shrine Bowl and Senior Bowl. I got like Salad Bowl above that. Soup Bowl for sure. I love a soup in the wintertime.
Ooh, oh yeah, a French onion bowl. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Oh, French onion,
so good.
Yeah. The
Salsa
Super Bowl,
Salsa Bowl.
Salsa Bowl. Yeah, exactly. Shrimp Bowl. Yeah, that works.
Yeah,
shrimp bowl.
Speaking of the Super Bowl, will be on my birthday this year, which I originally thought was cool. Now I guess it's still fine. I think I'm just gonna have people over and watch the Super Bowl and like not.
Are you
really
gonna
care.
tell them it's your birthday?
Don't tell them.
Just see who your real friends are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. At this point, I'll be wearing the very. I got it in the mail. I got the number 37 Nick Van Exel Warriors jersey.
I thought you were going to reveal that and not tell people.
I realize that's kind of a anticlimactic reveal. People will be like, "Wait, what?" It's the Streetcar Warriors jerseys. Come on, guys. But yeah,
they are great.
So I'll wear that. But yeah,
cable car.
Exactly, cable car. Sorry to you and the entire city of San Francisco.
Should be.
Yeah, I'm not excited about Eagles and Chiefs at all, but I am excited about Kendrick Lamar and Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
And are we still doing the thing where we say Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl enough to where we somehow get in the algorithm of everyone interested in Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl?
Especially when the podcast rehashing our podcast launches.
Every single episode from here on out is this labeled or titled Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl.
I remember talking about that. I don't remember how that came up.
Well, are you going to Kendrick when he comes to Seattle, Benny? Have you decided?
I've seen Kendrick before and I paid like a quarter of the price tickets are like over $200. I saw him right after Damn came out I
heard that tour. That tour was incredible.
Oh man, I'll have to share a video with you guys of when Mad City was playing, and you know the part in Mad City that I'm talking about where the crowd just went crazy. But I don't know. It was in like an outdoor amphitheater, like big, but kind of like maybe 10,000 people. So going to see him at CenturyLink where there's like, I don't know, 70,000.
That's where like I'm a little I don't think I've ever been to a stadium rap show before.
I haven't.
Because it's not attempted very often.
No. I feel like there are very few, like Drake, Eminem.
I don't think Drake's ever done it.
No,
I don't think Drake's
outdoor
ever
stadium.
Yeah. Well, there's outdoor, but just like I don't think Drake's ever done a football stadium.
No, you might be right.
I don't know of any he's done arenas that have done like 30. And this obviously isn't including like Super Bowl performances. This is like like a full set list like tour almost.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting.
The most famous tour that I can think of was the Up in Smoke tour, and that was like NBA arenas. Yeah, that definitely wasn't. Maybe it's the first. Kendrick is a pioneer.
Right. Well, I'll be there when he comes to Minneapolis, and we'll have a full review.
That's dope.
But
it'll be a good show.
I've never seen him.
It'll be crazy.
So, anyway, we're not here just to talk about Kendrick Lamar and Netflix docs and Hitman 3. No, maybe we should keep talking about Hitman 3. We're here to talk about Oregon State athletics, for gosh darn sake. And we will do that immediately after this beer segment. I'll go first tonight. I've got more good stuff from work. I am drinking tonight what we call a Beaufort Belgian Quad at Forgotten Star Brewing. It is a pretty light, smooth drinking Belgian that is like 12%. So I might be on the floor at the end of this episode.
Nice. Let's go.
Which was basically where I was at the end of the basketball game last night that I had so much hope for. I went back in my text and with like other like fans of other college basketball teams who I was talking to who have been like checking in with me on the Beavs all year. We're like, oh, looks like you got a squad. I was texting them yesterday like, I've actually got a good feeling about this game tonight. Fully talked myself into it. You know, that's why we're here. But yeah, Belgian quad, Forgotten Star. Good stuff.
Nice. In
JP,
your Vikings mug.
In my Vikings mug / glass. Please draft Joshua Gray, Vikings.
Whoa.
We do really need offensive linemen.
An Elysian space dust out of a bottle.
Nice.
Noise.
Yep. And I have a backup Starburst. I just feel like, you know, the space and sky are perfect pairs for beers.
Yeah.
And then the two beers make a perfect pair.
Dude, shout out space, man.
Yeah.
Hella
space,
cool.
Space,
science, math.
Hella big.
I was up in northern Minnesota this weekend
big.
skiing with my dad, and just like there was multiple moments at night where I was just like walking along Lake Superior, and I looked up and I was like, dude, aren't stars just amazing?
Yeah. No, it's funny you're saying that.
Right, but it's because like in Minneapolis, I can see some stars, but like this is like on the coast of a lake, and you're looking at just like millions of stars, and it's just like,
yeah,
hell yeah.
Was it last night, 2 nights ago? So we've had obviously dry, clear days here, and so we can see some stars in the Northwest for the few days of the year. And I was out shooting hoops with Ev the other night. It must have been Monday night. And he's like, Dad, look at that star up there. Like, he's like, you know, right behind the hoop. He's like, it's huge. I was like, oh yeah, that must be a planet. And like, you know, just didn't really give it any attention. And like, yeah, but like a minute later, he was like, Dad, I think it's that planet with rings around it. I can see the rings. I was like, no way, Jupiter? He's like, yeah, I think it is. Get your star, you know, app out. So I get the little star app out and I pointed up there. It's Jupiter. I don't know if the kid was lying or what, but he supposedly could see the freaking rings. It was so clear. His eyes are obviously a lot better than my aged eyes. So I just took his word for it that he saw the rings.
But the app also said it was Jupiter.
Yeah. And then confirmed. But like,
right.
I believe that he saw the rings. He could have guessed any planet, but I don't think he knows more than like 2 planets. So
Saturn has the more visible rings, but Jupiter does have rings as well. And it's also Jupiter is also the biggest one.
Maybe it was Saturn. Whatever. I don't remember. It was definitely the one with the rings, and I couldn't believe it.
It was definitely the one they named a Sega after and had a really good Frank Thomas game.
Was there ever a Sega Jupiter?
There should have been. There should have been.
Next
there were.
gen,
I remember.
Next gen.
Oh,
there are a couple planets that were visible this past week. I don't know which.
By the way,
recall which ones though.
The Sega Jupiter is an unreleased console developed by Sega during the early 1990s.
No shit.
Ooh.
Yeah. It would have been a 30.
Early
console.
1990s. Was Saturn?
Yeah.
What was Saturn? 16. I feel like Saturn was 32.
No, Saturn was 32.
Sega Saturn?
With similar but not identical specs to Sega Saturn.
You don't remember the Sega Saturn?
I did when you first said it.
It went from
sounded familiar.
Sega Genesis.
I'm thinking Sega Genesis.
Sega Saturn came out after Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Yeah. Didn't Sega Saturn have a CD? It was like the first. Like other than
Sega
PlayStation
Saturn
1.
may have been. Yeah, Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1 were around the same time. And I believe Saturn was a CD. I think that's when they kind of started to get overtaken by like Sony and Nintendo. But then they had that great Hail Mary known as the Sega Dreamcast that
so sick.
That was on top for like a little bit of time, but like hung on to its loyalist.
Dude, Sega Dreamcast was like it like took me out. Do you remember the commercials? It would say, "It's thinking."
That's
I'm
right.
Like, it's thinking.
Yeah.
I do.
Now that's nothing. Now it's nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like,
right. No, that's why I'm still so freaked out by AI, JP, because that's what I was a kid and I was just like, it's alive. Fuck.
Yeah.
No,
for tiptoeing past it, so it doesn't like notice you.
For all the Portlanders listening, Sega Dreamcast, this was front and center in one of their commercials. They had like characters from all these different games. They had Portland Trailblazer Brian Grant in one of the commercials. And it was the first basketball video game that accurately captured Brian Grant with his braids.
Oh yeah,
man!
For so long, NBA players who had braids just had like buzz cuts in video games because they're like, we're not going to figure out how to give them their real hair.
Yeah.
which is racist.
Was that
Sega
was that
Dreamcast.
on 2K? It must
have been NBA 2K
the
for
original
Sega,
2K.
The original 2K for Dreamcast.
Man,
Yeah.
I think out of
Like
all
actual 2K,
Blazers of all
and
time,
then 2K1 came out.
I think Brian Grant is my favorite Blazer of all time.
Brian Grant's awesome. Awesome dude.
I think he is.
Awesome player, awesome guy.
Yeah. Super awesome guy.
All right. This is turning into a long beer segment. Benny, do you have anything to share with us? Probably not, because you look healthy. Your skin is clear. Your hair is full, radiant. That's why. So anyway, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Salud.
Cheers.
Oregon State lost 98-60 last night.
Okay,
That's
next
the
topic.
bad news. There is, for some reason, I had it in my head that we played Thursday, but I think I just read Tuesday fast. WCC conference play schedule. This is kind of the first wrinkle of the schedule since conference play started. It just feels like it's you're playing Thursday and Saturday, and that's what you're doing. This was the first Tuesday game, I believe, since non-conference, and I'm sure national TV had something to do with it. This was on ESPN2. Gonzaga great Dan Dickow was there. They were sure to show his jersey in the rafters. Roxy Bernstein was drinking the Gonzaga Kool-Aid all night. I can't blame them, whatever. But that's probably why this game was on a Tuesday. And unfortunately, it immediately followed a pretty good weekend at Gill.
Yeah.
They hosted Pepperdine on Thursday, Santa Clara on Saturday, and the Beavs did what we wanted them to do. I want to kick it to you in a second, JP, to talk about that Santa Clara game. But we were coming in to last week's show to be we've just got to take care of these games at home. And then, of course, there's still a lot of work to do the rest of the season. And that fact remains. But we almost didn't even get a chance to breathe. We need to turn this into a twice a week show for the rest of the basketball season. We're not doing that. But it's hard to emotionally put us in the accurate spot because, of course, after games you get more objective and less emotional over time, and we are recording this within 24 hours of the beatdown at the Kennel in Spokane, and with a lot of time that passed over the games against Pepperdine and Santa Clara. The game against Pepperdine was also international night at Gill, which I'm glad they had. I'm not sure if they did that last year. We've had international flair on the team for a number of years now, but of course a lot has been said about the number of international players on this year's team. But I'm glad the team at Oregon State put some resources into celebrating that fact during a home game. So let's get this Gonzaga game out of the way. It's good news, bad news first, of course. We lose 98-60 in a game that I don't think you necessarily had to have, but I would say the path to the dance is quite narrow now. And I don't think any of us are of the belief that the only definition of success this year was making it to the NCAA tournament. The team had quite a disappointing season last year, despite some high points. But it was disappointing, and the guys and Tinkle didn't hide their disappointment after the game, which I felt was a rather narrow but still present silver lining. It just felt like the disappointing thing to me is it was obvious that Gonzaga was going to come out guns blazing. They played like they remembered 12 days ago we had an epic game in overtime that we lost. And it didn't feel like a lack of effort necessarily to me. But at the same time, we were getting beat to every loose ball. We didn't rebound well. We didn't defend well. And the confusing thing remains. Why does this team turn into a pumpkin on the road? And I think that's a criticism that's been lobbed at every Tinkle coach team just because of the record. But also the further frustrating part with this team is the things they do well are the things that traditionally travel well in college basketball. The defense is good. The on-ball defense is good. The off-ball defense is good. The things that they are a great shooting team. They're in the top 10 in field goal percentage and free throw percentage and top 25 in 3-point, I believe. And that, can fall off on the road a little bit, but the defensive thing just hasn't translated to road wins. And Gonzaga is a good team. They should still be ranked. They probably just had some hiccups that, took them out of there, but to see us lose 38 by 38, like I would have been fine with a loss by, I mean, anything less than 20. This just kind of felt like watching us for the first time this year, like we don't belong on this stage. And that's frustrating after going into the game at 16-6. But so I guess like JP, I want to hear from you first because you got to see the team in person right before they went to Spokane. And you'll get a chance to talk about the Santa Clara game as well. But just last night, kind of what was kind of either the main frustration or just kind of the biggest takeaway behind that season high 98 points allowed by this usually pretty stout defense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think to speak on behalf of like every Beaver men's basketball fan, like it is infuriating about how this team has no-showed so consistently on the road for the last now 3.5 years. And there's not really a clear indicator what is going on, like why that occurs. You mentioned like the rebounds, like, look, we had a worse rebounding game against Gonzaga at home, but at the same time on the road, not only did we just have a terrible rebounding game, but we had a terrible turnover game as well, both causing and giving them up. So it's just sloppy play. It's like sloppy, uninspired basketball. Not that the players don't care, not that the coaches don't care, but it's like they're not putting that care and effort into the things that help teams win in hostile environments on the road. And I just wonder if there's any directive helping these players or coaches or both figure out how to like find that effort and like find that preparation, because it's day and night difference. Let me pull this up. Like first shooting wise, that was our worst effective field goal percentage game of the season. It was one of our highest like turnover percentage games. We did not get to the line nearly enough, and not as much as we did against them at home.
Right.
Of course, some of that could be, attributed to the home court advantage in a way.
Right.
The referees make calls with the fans breathing down their neck. But yeah, it was just like, how do you go from that inspired effort at home to just coming out like totally asleep and then kind of clawing back? I feel like there was some fight. I did see that. I think that there was a moment, a glimmer of hope about like halfway through the first half. And I was thinking, okay, we can ride the storm a little bit. Maybe we can turn things around.
It was at like the 5-minute mark where things kind of in the first half where it got a little tilted. And
then it kept, it was like they were flirting with it for like a couple possessions. Like they'd go up 9, they'd go up 12, they'd go up 8, and then it just like they didn't look back after that. And halftime didn't provide any adjustments either.
No, halftime was bad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna harp on people, but like there were some mismatches and some decisions on personnel that just didn't work, and I think that is like maybe a depth issue and not so much on the players or coaches that were trying everything to, stop Ike, for example. But everything we threw at them, like we almost progressively looked worse with every attempt. So it's like we came out with our best shot and then tried some attempt to be like, okay, maybe this is our secret sauce. Maybe this one's going to work. And it just kept looking worse and worse. And then we didn't really go back to the things that were at least semi-respectable, I guess. I don't know. It was like all a big question mark, honestly. I just felt very disappointed watching that game. I didn't expect to win. That's a tough environment, and Gonzaga is a much better team than I think their record and ranking show. But that was, pitiful performance, even from my lowest expectations.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon State really clearly struggles on the road, but they really struggle too against teams that have athletic bigs. I mean, you go back to the Loyola Marymount game, and they had the athletic big, and we couldn't figure it out. It makes it really difficult, though, when Oregon State's inside offense is taken away. And you look at the score, just the score line, and Fala and Marsh combined for 2 points. And like we have we have to be able to go inside out, as are most teams. But I feel like, Jay, I think you had mentioned it in our group chat about how like Fala was like, he looked so good in preseason, and that sort of trickled off. And I don't think that's Fala's fault. I think teams saw that and, saw the tape on that and were able to prepare for it. But when you have Ike and Greg down low, they're both really good defenders. They just take that away. And then what are you reliant on, like Kings and C and Minor to hit threes?
But then even worse on top of that is if they can't hit them, we don't have the size or the skill for positioning to get the rebound, to get a putback, to get a second chance possession.
Right. And then Gonzaga is just getting even more and more aggressive in the perimeter defense. And it's just like, I think that's where Tinkle can struggle sometimes is not making the adjustments to how teams are playing them on defense. And I think we saw that in full display on Tuesday. I honestly was going into the game not thinking we were going to win. I thought the spread was pretty high at 15.5 and thought that we would cover, but I didn't think we'd win just because like Gonzaga is a beast at home. And to be honest, have not watched a lot of Gonzaga home games, but their student section surprised and impressed me.
Right.
Yeah, it was just like, damn, like
the dichotomy of that section. I wasn't there for the Gonzaga game at Gill, but it was a pretty full Beaver Dam against Santa Clara.
Oh yeah.
But
I was going to ask
that
about
kind
that.
of energy.
Sure.
I don't think I've ever seen that at Gill since I first stepped foot in that arena.
I think that energy builds on itself when you have a team that's good. I feel like this year we're just like, longer, what do we do?
Yeah. This current Gonzaga run is longer than any of those kids in the student section have been alive. And what I'll say is I agree with the players saying like we can't like Rataj said after the game, he pointed up many of the stats and he's like, you can't blame atmosphere for that kind of performance. Like we have to hold ourselves accountable. They don't play in a lot of atmospheres like that. Probably none. I'd say in the fucking Pac-12. There's like, I think Gonzaga has the best home atmosphere, including all of the old Pac-12 schools, with maybe the exception of Arizona. But also, I don't think I think Arizona students get lazy when Oregon State comes to town traditionally, and don't really care that much. Pauley Pavilion has sounded more like a library in most of the recent games. I know the history of that building and the classics that have been played there, but it's not like that was a super intimidating place. Go back and look at Gary Payton II's epic dunk from the 2016 season, and there's like no one in the crowd as he does that. So I think that did affect them. I think the problem is it's impossible to think about that without thinking these other true, quote unquote, true road games where we've played in atmospheres that weren't that lively and weren't that loud and weren't that intimidating, and they weren't able to get the job done. And so it's kind of this recurring thing that they can't shake. And it's not just this iteration of Beaver basketball, of Beaver men's basketball. It's a lot of iterations.
Well, and you go back to the Tinkle coach teams at Montana, and they struggled on the road. Like they struggled a lot. Joe Hedberg had pulled the stats for me, and I don't have them in front of me, but he knew him right off the.
He had him.
It was like 38 and 55. His tenure at Montana on the road, and those were teams that went to the tournament a lot.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. How does that compare though to
what it typically is?
The mean of college basketball. What is startling is
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, in general, I would imagine that if you're a tournament bubble team or one of the last conference champions I bet you that's probably par for the course or close to it. He probably got lucky here and there, of course.
Sure,
but yeah, I mean, even the year we went to the tournament, we were 4-6 on the road, and
wait, 2016 or 21. You're talking about
2020, 2021, we were 4-6 on the road. 15, 16, we were 4-7 on the road.
Yeah, Tinkle's only had one winning record on the road, I believe.
Yeah, 2018, 2019, 6-5.
Yeah.
As it stands, his Oregon State career, though, he is
fuck was wrong with Gil that year?
23-93.
Dude,
on the road.
Like, I mean, clearly that's unacceptable, right? Like, clearly that's not okay. And but you just like have to sort of throw your hands up and wonder what's going on, because this team is more mentally tough in terms of just like watching them on the court. Like they don't let emotions get into it. They love playing with each other, it seems like. Right. There doesn't appear to be any animosity between the players or between the coaches and the players. And so it's not like a culture or an environment thing. It's like almost, I don't know. Like I don't know what the answer is, but clearly the team performs a much different fashion on the road than they do at home.
I will say, I think, and this isn't to sugarcoat anything, I'm glad they have time to dwell on this. You don't always want a bunch of time to dwell on losses like this. We don't have another game for 9 days. Yeah, I got eight now, but 9 since the end of that. And when they host Wazoo at home, which will be a big game. And us at home has been pretty fucking great. And
13-1 this season.
Wazoo doesn't really have a signature win, but they're a quality team. Yeah. So that's not going to be easy, but that's a good win when you think about constructing a resume. But I'm very interested to see how they use this time, because it does seem like a more mature group than we've had since 21. It seems like a pretty thoughtful group. And I think when you're trying to think about there are bad losses that you want to flush and just move on right away. And then there are also bad losses that like you don't want to flush and you want to be like, all right, we're going to spend as much time as possible learning from this. And I think this isn't even set like the hope of making the tournament aside. I think this has been a very intriguing and interesting and ultimately rewarding season of Oregon State men's basketball through 23 games so far, which is what we fucking wanted going into this season. And I don't know that I've ever been more interested to see how an Oregon State men's basketball team responds. Yeah. And the fact that there's a lot of time in between the last game and when they get to do it, I think only heightens that. And I don't think we should reach out to anyone in between, but maybe like end of the season, we can get our guy Roberto Nelson on again. And I would love to hear what is the approach in the 9 days between a blowout loss at Gonzaga and then hosting the Cougs at home. And what is the day-to-day look like? What were the guys like? What was the kind of the energy around those days? It's going to be fascinating.
Do you think that these road woes are like, is there anything to these that we're not like seeing? And I bring that up because if you look at our road losses, right? Like LMU is really the one that sticks out as being the one where it's like, you shouldn't have lost that game.
Or you shouldn't have gotten,
but you should not have lost that game, and should not have lost that game by the amount that you did. But there was a player, really 2 players for LMU that really did go off, and it wasn't because we weren't playing good D. So even that is like explainable. But you look at like University of North Texas, we had that game in the bag, and they like pulled it out at the very end, and that is potentially a tournament team. The Santa Clara game, Santa Clara is red hot when they beat us at home, and we had that game in the bag too. And then Gonzaga, and it's like there's explanation to those road losses, but you stack them up on top of each other, and Tinkle's record's so bad that it gets a lot of notoriety.
Here's the biggest trend of the road losses. 4 of our 5 lowest true shooting percentage games are on the road.
So the shooting doesn't travel, but the defense should, and it also hasn't.
Yeah. But maybe it's because we're living and dying by, I mean, I know we're a scrappy and hard-nosed defensive team this year especially, but maybe when the shots aren't falling, it makes the confidence waver on defense.
On both sides as well. There definitely is. They're in conversation with each other. And I think from the fan standpoint, because this team is only thinking about the games this year. And going into this season, so like Dashel, God, I'm going to forget the guy's name, but Dashel quoted a just bracketology expert who overviewing Oregon State's tournament resume and was essentially saying like, there's a chance, but it's a small one. And so there's one bad loss on Oregon State's resume, and that's at LMU. So the LMU loss is the only bad one. And I know fans don't want to hear that because fans are thinking about the 23 and 93, like you just mentioned. And it's hard because you're like, oh, at some point something's got to give, but also probability doesn't have a memory. And every time you go on the road, your chances of losing go up. And for whatever reason, this team hasn't figured it out. They haven't been adequately prepared. I'm talking over the years.
Yeah.
The things they do well haven't traveled well. And then if there have been any breaks to happen, those breaks haven't historically broken their way. And when you add all that up, it's just on most nights on the road, these teams have been more likely to lose than they've been more likely to win.
Yeah.
And it's just weighing on the fan base. And
yep.
I think,
but here's the other thing. If you look at it, you lost to LMU on the road again. Putting that to the side, that was inexcusable. But you lost to San Francisco on the road, and San Francisco is incredible at home.
They haven't lost at home,
right? And then we talked about the Santa Clara game, and Santa Clara was truly red hot when we lost to them.
That's a quality team.
Yeah, and Gonzaga, we should not have lost by that amount.
No,
but
the amount is what's going to gnaw at people. Say we lose, even like it's not even truly close, but we play the foul game at the end and lose by 9. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit. But
I think that there's like pressure.
Though.
Yeah, there's pressure. I'm sure that this team's feeling. I hope there's pressure that Tinkle's feeling of like, shit, we're on the road. Like, is it going to happen again? Like those things have a tendency to like just create pressure.
Tinkle should feel that. I don't think these guys should feel that because
I don't think the guys should.
Right.
Especially that's what I'm trying to get.
These guys shouldn't.
This year, if you put this year in a bubble, I don't think the road losses are as meaningful as if you stack them up in the last couple of years.
2 of them are bad. North Texas is going to the tournament, and it's just frustrating.
I mean, if USF and Santa Clara were in, well, Santa Clara maybe not because their record doesn't really show, but like USF, they
USF's got a chance.
Sneak into the tournament.
Right.
But like, just side note, I think it's going to be really tough for Oregon State to get into the tournament. Lenardi had Santa Clara, who's 19-3, as a number 9 seed.
He had Santa Clara as
I'm sorry, not Santa Clara.
St. Mary's. St. Mary's. Okay.
St. Mary's, who's 19-3 as a number 9 seed. So if that shows you how much the West Coast Conference is being respected right now, like
I don't think. Yeah, I think St. Mary's and Gonzaga are both going to be in the NCAA tournament. And
for sure.
The rest depends on what Oregon State, San Francisco, Santa Clara, and maybe Washington State do the rest of the way. But those teams are all playing each other. So it's going to be 1 or 2 of those 4, if any.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about the good news, though. Prior to this Gonzaga game, there were 2 games at home. We fixated on that Pepperdine game a lot last week. We won that game by 20. Also beat Santa Clara by double digits. Michael Rataj scored a career high 30 points. In all of this, I don't want it to be lost on anyone the type of season that Michael Rataj is having.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's been spectacular. JP, you were in the house at Gill with super secret producer Skinder. You mentioned that you alluded to the energy a little bit at first. And I know that after the Gonzaga win at Gill, we lost on the road at San Francisco, then came back and had these home games. What was kind of like the energy like, and just being in Corvallis and the excitement levels? And then we'll get into that game a little bit and Rataj's special performance.
Well, I mean, the Beaver Dam showed up. It was fairly full for an afternoon tip, which I think isn't, the usual for your Saturday routine when you're in college.
Right.
And it was pretty full from a fan perspective, but I wouldn't say that it was like palpable energy or, excitement bouncing off the walls. The game never felt very secure, and I think that feeling trickled into the seats in Gill. until like 5 minutes left in the game. I mean, Santa Clara was hanging on for dear life all game long. And, I'm glad we were able to pull it out. Rataj played phenomenal. He looked way ahead of everybody else on the court, on both sides of the court. Mm-hmm. And he was, he played in control. He played confident. He knew when to make it his time versus facilitate. There was a calmness on the Beavs throughout that entire battle, really until, again, like the last 4 or 5 minutes when we pulled it away. And a lot of that was modeled by Rataj. And his game also, spoke volumes, even if he doesn't always, make a ton of noise verbally on the court. So there was, to me, okay, steady and just consistent basketball. That's what we need to keep doing. I like this is a development from this team. I liked seeing that they could, give a little bit, but still claw back and regain a bit of a lead and then put it away when they needed to. But I didn't really feel like it felt all that important, to be honest, the game. It was, I think it was important, one, to kind of close the book on, what happened in Santa Clara. But I didn't feel that vibe, I'll be honest. I was a little bit, not caught off guard or not let down, but just it didn't really hit me until afterwards to be like, oh yeah, we just were at a Oregon State men's basketball game, and it was a very important game, and I'm driving home with no anxiety. I know it says I know we won, but shouldn't I have been more amped up? Shouldn't everyone have been a little more amped up? I don't know. I did notice that the entire time.
What does that come down to, though? Right? Because you look at it, you look at Oregon State football, and Oregon State football is, the student section is amped up an hour before kickoff. And I know football and basketball are different, but it's the same students. Right. It's the same program. Well, this team's having a great year. What is it? Is it the game? What does Sir Alcano do?
Game.
What is that?
Head of game operation. I think we're getting at
game operations,
fan experience.
Fan experience,
right.
Yeah.
I think a big chunk of that is just the scarcity of football, even in a disappointing season, can help create that. But also, fair. I would say, and I wasn't at any of these home games. I'm 1,000 miles away. But I think from a fan experience, I would imagine the atmosphere they created against Gonzaga at home was amazing, and you could feel it through the TV screen. And I think there's always a sense of a little bit of a hangover with that in college basketball, Cameron Crazies and other schools like that. It's kind of just the team now goes on the road and loses at San Francisco. And now you have, as a student who's going to the game, now you have home games against Pepperdine and Santa Clara, whether they're quality teams or not.
Yeah, the enthusiasm can waver.
No one outside of your community cares. When you play Gonzaga, everyone cares. It's hard to get it to get everyone to get it up for those games.
Yeah.
And I watched the extended highlights and was tuned in as much as I could be, and it seemed like people were there and loud and cared, but it wasn't that same special kind of thing. But also, when this school gets the opportunity, we've got 8 days. Wazoo will be at home, and then 2 days after that, St. Mary's at home. And St. Mary's could still be undefeated in conference play at that point, and should be fucking ranked. It's ridiculous that they're not.
Crazy that they're not. I mean, they haven't really beaten anybody, but still, they have 19 wins.
The Beaver Dam will get that chance again. That's just my thought on that.
But I guess just what comes first, the chicken or the egg? But it's when Gil's filled, that's gonna recruit kids just on its own, right? The atmosphere is just intoxicating. So I don't know.
Yeah,
you can't fake it.
But what I've taken away from feeling all right, it wasn't the atmosphere that carried the team or helped carry the team against Gonzaga. They still held on. They beat a team that beat them in a heartbreaker on the road. And everyone always says, okay, well, yeah, look at Tinkle's team's home win-loss record. right? He's like 114 and something. It's like 65% win percentage at home at Gill, and that's accounting for those two super dud seasons. Like we always say, like Gill's a fortress. Gill is maybe helping to propel these teams and these programs to like willing them to wins that they maybe wouldn't get in a neutral court or clearly on the road. But I had to walk away from that and feel like maybe it's not just the fan support or the home court advantage that helps this team achieve its potential at home, or all these teams achieve their potential at home. So I don't know. It's kind of a good thing, I guess, that they can still win without people just like losing their absolute minds behind, an inbounds play. But then why is it when there's people rooting against them that is so hard?
It adds to the confusion because they just.
But sellouts are like those are like 100%.
Those matter. Those absolutely do. But also, it's just they're playing pretty well. Even we've all been at some games at Gill where we were maybe the only people at Gill, and they won.
Yup.
And
can I give you my hot take of the year that I know neither one of you are going to agree with, or any of our listeners? Don't have the band there. I know it's the oldest band in the Pac-12. I know it's the oldest band in the Pac-12. It's a fucking snooze fest. I yawn every time that they play. I'd rather have them have lasers and big, loud hip hop or rock, or just like get the. I want to go to sleep.
When I hear they had a DJ at the game.
Here's what I'll give you.
Not in Reeser.
No, they had a DJ at Gill.
Yeah, Benny. I think they do both.
They?
Yeah, they do both now.
I think you can. I think you.
But you guys know what I'm saying, right? Like I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but like it is.
Well, yeah.
Because it's hot and sweaty and it's just do. It's just like, oh, man, give me a Gill dog and a nap.
There are a handful of games in Oregon State men's basketball history where it was the three of us, the Oregon State band, and the parents of the other team. And the other team wasn't even from anywhere close, and some other athletes. And then when like the band would do like the song from the Goonies, and they'd make like the fattest trombone player do the truffle shuffle while like the other team shooting a free throw.
Cool.
No, it's not. It's not when you're going 8-24 and like this is like your thing. You were just like, what is this? Like we're the number got bigger or rose every year, but at the time it was just like we're the 12th winningest basketball program ever. What are we? And then the next year is like we're the 16th winningest basketball program. I don't even know what it is anymore. But man, I don't get rid of the band.
But you know what I'm saying, right? Because it can get sleepy in Gill sometimes.
Yes, we know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wazoo at Gill on February 6th, and St. Mary's at Gill on February 8th. Those are two massively important games. I would say one of the most important 2-game sets at Gill of the Tinkle era, given what you still could do.
Must wins.
Probably.
I think they are.
Well, because if you think now that the only way Oregon State can make it to the NCAA tournament is by winning the conference tournament, it is imperative to finish in the top 4, given the way the West Coast Conference tournament is structured. Finishing number 4 is very, very beneficial in comparison to finishing number 5.
I think they can lose one. I think they can lose one more and have a chance at.
Okay, that's at St. Mary's.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. It's like you're playing at St. Mary's and you're playing St. Mary's. You're playing St. Mary's twice.
So you got to split with the 19-3 Gales, the home of
Patty Mills. And you're also playing Wazoo, San Francisco, and then you have 3 other road games. It is Portland, Pepperdine, and San Diego.
They're the right road games. They're the right road games, but you got to win them.
But they're road games.
And we've only won one.
Yeah.
We've only won one.
Yeah. So the fact that we're just like banking on the fact that these 3 are just gimmies. We're not. The 3 of us aren't. We're not. No.
No.
I mean, I kind of did, but like, I recognize that they're not gimmies.
that at
you
large,
have to win these 2 games at home.
That at large bid would have to also involve a run to at least the semis and maybe the final of the conference tournament.
Well, you definitely be in the semis going in if you won.
You're in the quarters if you get top 4.
Oh, you're right.
So
if you lose one, I mean, St. Mary's has a gauntlet.
Say we lose. Schedule. Okay, so say we lose 2 more games. That's 9 losses, and then we win the other. So that'd be 9 losses. We'd be 23-9, and then you go. That's including the conference tournament. So you're essentially 26-9, and you're runner up in the conference tournament to either St. Mary's or Gonzaga. You would have had to have beaten
here's the
one of them.
other factor, by the way. If we're sitting around on the bubble with other teams like a Santa Clara, right, and they have one less game than we do in the WCC tournament, and we get that game, and then we pass them progressing through to the tournament semis or final, that could help. That extra game could help. Well, you almost want to be the lower seed if you are looking on the outside looking in
to get the chance to just stack up more wins.
Yeah.
You know what I really like? Talking about bubbles and probabilities and what ifs in almost February for men's college basketball. That's what I like. It feels like it's been a second.
Hasn't been every year of this podcast.
No, only in November.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I think we could finish top 3, and then 2 weeks
Look at
later,
all these great transfers we got. We're definitely going to the Final Four.
3 months later, we're having an Irish eulogy with the Peyton years while we're all getting hammered on the podcast, and I'm almost in tears. Whatever. Okay, anything else on men's basketball, you guys? A reminder: the NIT is still cool. If you're still mad about everything that's happening, and it was just in your fucking head that Tinkle needed to make it to the NCAA tournament, the NIT is cool.
I would just say if we get
I love the NIT.
Well, if we get 3 more home wins of the next 4 home games, then that will be our best home win loss in the Tinkle era.
Nice.
With the most home victories by pure quantity. And I think
in fairness, it should be.
Yeah.
Well, but that's
there's been times where we've had some teams though that I would say held up just as well in a Pac-12.
And there have been times
where the Pac-12 was more dog shit than the West Coast Conference.
That's what I mean. I
shouldn't say West Coast Conference is not.
There was a time when the regular season champion of the Pac-12 didn't make the NCAA tournament.
But what I mean is, like, there were Tinkle teams that were probably the same equivalent talent-wise in the Pac-12s on certain years that this team is currently in the WCC. And that one less.
Agreed. For sure.
I hear that. But hey, if you are in the NIT, you get the chance to play at home. It might cost you some money.
The other fucking cool thing, last thing for me on men's basketball is I think with the exception of DeMarco Minor, there's no other seniors on this team, right?
Yeah, but
I know Rataj. Oh, Marsh is?
Yeah.
But like, dude, Rataj could go pro next year. I mean, like, no bullshitting. He is gaining, right? Like, but I'm for whatever reason, and I hope this is not me fucking giving my hopes up, but it doesn't feel like there's going to be a lot of transfers from this team. And this team is pretty young, and I don't know.
They got dudes coming in too.
Year. Yeah, they could be interesting.
Marsh, Sports Reference has Marsh as a junior, but I believe Oregon State had him
as a senior.
And this is his 4th year of hoops after 3 at Wake.
Oh, and he didn't redshirt for one of those years?
He played 13 games, 30 games, 22 games, and now he's played 22 this year.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I would say
the other one is Kings is listed on Sports Reference as a senior.
But he was hurt last year.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think because with him being hurt last year,
He has another.
Plus, I think he might have another year of eligibility from being a JC transfer.
Interesting. Yeah, Lula Vicious. I know that's not how you say it, but that's how I'm going to say it. He's a sophomore, I think, right?
Yes.
Man, if Rataj does come back and Kings and Lula Vicious, because he's so delicious, and Fala, we're going to have a fucking squad.
Last 5-6 games, Maxime Logie is showing how much he's developed.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
Bro,
he was the one. Yeah, we couldn't get out of this without talking about Logie. He was the only one, the second half last night, he was the only one that was like having any kind of good game. And I know it was a fucking clunker, but Logie, we saw him in the non-conference like early games, and we saw how raw he was. But some of those dunks, man, Logie's a player, and
he played well
better
against Santa Clara too, right? Because or was it Pepperdine where he had to step in for Fala when he was? I think it was Pepperdine when Fala did.
Yeah, he had a great game against Santa Clara as well. He looked. He looks a little raw out there.
Still, yeah.
But he looks like he has the most NBA body. Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah. He's huge.
You can tell he can just jump out of the gym too.
Yeah.
Right.
And when you just see him on the court side by side, everyone on the court these days looks way older than college age. And I feel like they always kind of looked older than a college age when we were in college. But now they look like older than me. And
DeMarco Minor could be like one of our friends' dads.
Yeah, exactly.
DeMarco Minor just is Baron Davis. The
the
comparison was so spot on. We realized that Baron Davis is like, I got a plan to get more eligibility.
Yeah. Should have noticed the knee braces. No.
Right.
But yeah, Logie's a monster out there, man.
Logie caught that lob from Minor. I believe that was the Pepperdine game.
Yeah.
He's throwing shit down, and and that's the type of shit too where it's like, I'm not trying to wash away a 38-point loss on the road, but watch how players develop on this team. And if you're frustrated about things like guys who return, Logie's turning into a player under this coaching staff's leadership. And we got a sense of that from Roberto when he was on the pod last year. He didn't really talk about anyone specific, but just talked about the collective buy-in. There are a handful of guys, including Rataj, who have been around for a while. And I think, the guys who believe in it, dedicate themselves to it, and stay are seeing the benefits of that steadfastness, especially Rataj. I don't know how you argue with that, but
Logie, they brought Rataj along pretty conservatively too through his development, and look how it's paid off. And Logie, same thing this season, especially. Outside of the preseason games before Oregon, up until that point, he had played 2 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes. Then he 3 at the Oregon game 3, and he did not play more than 5 minutes until at Santa Clara, where he had 8. Then at UOP back to 3, and then Pepperdine 16, Santa Clara 15, at Gonzaga 12. So either by necessity or because he's earned it or some combination of that, the staff's and Tinkle's giving him more minutes, more run, and I'm excited to see where that leads us.
Yeah,
I love it.
Let's move on to do some football. Obviously, we got a well-deserved break for men's basketball until very, very important games start happening thick and fast. Tasty encounters, as they say in English football. In American football and in our football, there has been a decent amount of news. Just yesterday or 2 days ago, depending on when you're listening to this, Oregon State's 2026 recruiting class doubled in size. You may know the name Dagan Rose as the 3-star quarterback that we signed in the class of 2026. He has now been joined by 3-star running back LaMarcus Bell from Lake Oswego. Most notable thing about LaMarcus, he destroyed Benny's alma mater, the Central Catholic Rams, in last year's state semifinal with 262 yards and 7 touchdowns. And I think he only had 4 touchdowns.
As a sophomore?
As a junior. He'll be a senior. He'll be a senior in high
He'll
school
be a
this fall.
senior.
Yeah.
Got it.
Do you think he's named after LaMarcus Aldridge?
Could be. LaMarcus Aldridge did live in Lake Oswego, and he would have been born around the time when LaMarcus Aldridge was sort of like in his
2008?
prime.
He's probably, God, we're old. Yeah, he could be.
Interesting.
I
Just
have
connecting dots.
never felt older than I do right now. I thought absolutely not. And now like, oh yeah, LaMarcus was not even a rookie at that point. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It was
LaMarcus
his
Bell,
third year in the NBA.
Oregon,
Jesus Christ.
University of Oregon State Player of the Year, brought him the Lake Oswego. I don't know Lake Oswego's team name. Sorry.
Lakers.
Lake Oswego. Oh, of course.
Yeah. It's all very obvious.
My high
around
school
here.
was also the Lakers, but we didn't have a lake in the.
You had 10,000 lakes around you guys.
That's true.
Of course
Yeah,
you're going to be
exactly.
Pick one. We're one of those lakes.
Yeah,
We're
we
one
should-
of the lakes.
Someone
Chris.
needs to not be the Lakers, just the Lakes.
The lake.
Well, we
I like
should.
that.
Which one though?
Yeah.
Dude,
Not plural.
if they had been the Minneapolis Lake instead of the Minneapolis Lakers, do you think they ever moved to LA?
No.
They just stay
no.
in Minnesota and probably never win a championship. But whatever.
I'm a
It would've
big
been fun.
fan of non-plural team names like the Magic. Like that's just
Oh, yeah, the
everything's
Heat.
always plural in the,
The
Heat.
Jazz.
Yeah.
No, fuck the Jazz.
Utah Hockey Club.
Utah,
They should be the Utah Hockey
Washington
Clubs.
football team.
Utah. That would be smart brand marketing right
Yeah.
there. Just change their
How many-
mascot
yeah.
to the clubs.
Oh, you guys are just one club.
The
We're
Utah Hockey Clubs.
we are an unidentified number greater than one. Looks like you're outnumbered, my friend.
friends.
There's more. There's more than this. The Heat and the Magic. What are some other?
The Jazz.
There's the Jazz, Phoenix Mercury. Though I don't.
Yeah.
The WNBA has a lot, like Connecticut Sun.
The WNBA is a lot.
Chicago Sky, Seattle
Yeah.
Storm. There's too many in the WNBA. I'll say.
Yeah.
White Sox, Red Sox.
Those are plural.
Yeah, they're plural just with an X
Yeah.
because
But
it
it's
was
an
from like the
X.
1910s and
It's still
1900s. So
Didn't
Dude, it's not one
the Cincinnati
sock.
Reds used to be called the Cincinnati Red Stockings?
Yeah.
yeah, which
That's
is
funny.
Wait,
plural.
wasn't Boston also the Red Stockings?
Yeah.
And they're just like, someone needs to change.
Wait.
Man.
There's a ton in soccer. That's annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying. We should just be the Oregon State Beavs.
Beeve.
I'm into
Nice.
this.
Or yeah. Man, that would be such a fun job to
Do
be
you
the
remember
person
the
that
Big Green?
comes up
that
with
movie where the
mascots?
team name was just the Big Green.
Oh yeah. That Disney movie?
I mean, fuck the color green, but the idea behind it,
yeah.
I'm okay with
Thunder.
it. Oklahoma
Thunder.
City Thunder.
That's it, though. I think we covered them all.
They're all in basketball.
Well,
There's not-
I'm
there's
just
not-
saying in the NBA. We already decided the WNBA has
The
many,
W. It's basically all Lynx.
except for the Valkyries.
Lynx is singular and plural.
Oh,
When there's just
Man.
one lynx is just a lynx, and multiple lynx are multiple lynx.
Wow. So other teams think that they're just a story or two ahead when they don't have an S at the end, and the Lynx are just on fucking Mars doing their own
by
thing.
using X. Well, that's
Wow.
I
and
can't give
being
you that much
plural
shit.
and
Yeah.
singular.
Yeah, wait. So then, how are Red Sox not singular and plural with the X?
come on. That's not even worth debating.
It's LaMarcus Bell, just one bell. He's. The point is, he chose the Beavs over offers from Boise State, where Ashton Genty played running back, BYU, Cal, Illinois, Wazoo, among others, and tore apart Benny's alma mater. That's important. Also important is Oregon State alum and highest rated recruit ever, Isaac Seumalo, going to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Good shit for Ike.
Oh, and Tristan Tia officially became a 4-star, by the way.
Oh, and Tristan Tia's rating went
Today.
up to being a 4-star. Amazing
way.
that happens after he commits to Oregon State. That shit's kind of like a little rare. They
Yeah.
normally hate on our
Yeah.
guys.
Turning the
Tia.
tables on that narrative.
So more wins on the recruiting trail for Trent Bray and company. Not less wins. Interesting how that's happening. Also, we mentioned it at the top, the Shrine Bowl. I I have high hopes for Jared Christian Lichtenhan and just being the largest human being who has ever existed with that 6'10" frame going into the NFL. I think he's going to be really good. I haven't seen a ton of responses to his performance at the Shrine Bowl this week, but he was there. He does have the size and the strength to be a good player in the NFL, and I think he'll get drafted. Joshua Gray had a fantastic week at the Shrine Bowl, and a lot of it, too, was spending time at center. Now, just to kind of translate the draft sicko nature of the Shrine Bowl, when an interior offensive lineman prospect takes a lot of snaps at center, it's not that scouts are necessarily projecting them as a center in the NFL. They're just kind of testing whatever. A lot of current guards in the NFL who participated in these games like the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl, the Hula Bowl, and others took a lot of snaps at center. So,
well, because if you can go there, they can move you presumably elsewhere.
Joshua Gray is going into the draft with probably as much positional flexibility as any other offensive lineman. That's not going to push him to day one, and I would still be a little surprised if we heard him in the second or third round, just because he's not that huge. And that is a thing that matters in the way these prospects are evaluated. But during the process last year, so like at the Senior Bowl last year, obviously Catan was super generous with his time and unfortunately had an injury during the draft process, but still got drafted at a good spot. Unfortunately went to a terrible team. Just kidding. I hate the Green Bay Packers. That's a biased take. I really wish nothing but the best for Catan. A lot of people are asking me, though, why Talise Fuaga, who is probably the highest rated Oregon State draft prospect in the modern era, played right tackle his entire time at Oregon State. And the reason why was because Joshua Gray was at left tackle. And you're trying to win football games, Joshua Gray was the more experienced player, and for not to take anything away from Tolly, but just the more reliable player. And Joshua Gray is leaving the program with more starts than any player ever for a reason. And he had everything he needed to be a really good college football left tackle. And I do think part of it was the move for him to guard this last year. It was a little bit of both. I think it was the right move by him because they knew the NFL is going to value this guy as a guard, and we want the best for Joshua. So give him these 12 games as a guard to show that he can be an elite guard and make some money on draft day. But also he was one of 5 players. He was the only one returning, and they had Lichtenhan coming from Colorado who could play left tackle. And it's like, this is probably the best thing for us this year. And we still had a great running game despite all of the chaos. So I don't know that this means, if you're a true sicko that wants to know where guys are going to play, I don't know how much this means about Gray's prospects at center. But the fact that he held it down all week at center, and remind you, we do need to see the Shrine Bowl game, which is tonight or last night or 2 nights ago, whenever you're listening to this. These games are also kind of mimic regular bowl games where like the game itself doesn't necessarily matter. It's kind of getting there is the thing. And then, of course, in the Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, Hula Bowl, the scouts have their eyes on the practices. And Gray's reps I've read a ton. I've read like local blogs, like Bears blogs, Titans blogs, like every like sicko blog of teams that had shitty offensive lines this year. The number of guys going like, oh, and IOL, I've got my name on, is Joshua Gray at Oregon State. And he's going to hear his name called. It'll likely be on day 3. It could be on day 2. I hope it's on day 2. God damn, I hope it's on day 2. Because he's the all-time starts leader for a reason. And for a guy, there's a sentimentality position to it where he came in mid Jonathan Smith rebuild. Like when the team sucked, and then stayed, helped it achieve a top 10 ranking, and then had to deal with the fucking fallout of the realignment chaos and stayed through that. No one can tell the story of what it's like to be Oregon State better than Joshua Gray. And
that's so true.
I'm so happy that he's had a great week down there in Denton and Frisco, and tomorrow night's game is in Arlington. So in and around Dallas, the team I cheer for really needs an interior offensive lineman, so I'm manifesting that. But this is just shaping up to be a pretty good Oregon State draft story. And because it's going to come in a later round, or not the first round, and it's the offensive line, it's not going to get the spotlight it deserves. But I'm going to be so happy when Joshua Gray gets drafted. And because of this recent trends, it's probably going to be the Green Bay Packers. But God, I will still be happy for him, and I hope it's not the Packers. I hope it's any of 31 other teams, especially the Vikings. But yeah, and of course he was wearing the script helmet, which made Benny very happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a good storyline that's coming out of football this time of year. So don't act like there's no football this weekend. Tune to NFL Network on Thursday night, and if you're listening to this on Friday or Saturday or Sunday where we didn't get it up in time, NFL Network probably has a replay on, and watch it. Anthony Gould tore it up at the Shrine Bowl last year. Joshua Gray is going to tear it up again this year. And yeah, it's awesome. Support Joshua Gray, support Gerard Christian Lichtenhand. It's not going to be the same level of hype around Oregon State at the draft this year, but we still got dudes coming out and holding it down. So very excited for Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised though if he was second, third round pick. I think he was grading better in college for most of his career than Tolly was. Again, size matters in the NFL, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if a team takes him thinking either A, we'll bulk him up, or B, we want more athletic linemen because our offense, is spreading the field a lot more than the standard traditional.
We'll give
NFL
him a
offense.
lateral pass on the goal line, and he'll run it in from 9 yards out for a 3-yard touchdown. But also, what could be beneficial is and I hesitate to use, definitive terms in drafts because we never know how good anyone is. People are always like, oh, this quarterback class sucks. And we don't know how good these quarterbacks are going to be. It's seen as a weak center class. So depending on how many people. Oh, that's Enzo is snoring.
Oh, are you guys hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's just chilling.
Your massive dog is snoring right by your microphone. Of course we can hear it.
I thought it was someone's stomach. It was like someone needs to eat.
Hey,
it's Mr. Enzo.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, Enzo, don't get shy now that you're on camera.
Oh,
you need to hear the sound again.
Wow. I thought
just snort.
Benny was farting, but
also
we all know what that sounds
likely.
like. Anyway, teams think Joshua Gray can play center. This isn't seen as a great center class, so that could help him a lot.
Yeah. He could be the first center off the board if they want him at center.
They should. They should want him at center, and he should be the first center.
He should be the first overall pick, damn it.
Yeah.
Shador is at the Shrine Bowl, but he's not even playing in the Shrine Bowl. What does that
tell you? Scouts? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He's down there for the
publicity.
Well, he's meeting with teams like privately. And
he's there for the Rolexes.
And he's doing interviews. Like
I was gonna say, he better not be late because he's got the biggest watch I've ever seen.
What is happening in these games is like similar to bowl games, where like so much now is made of the process of the week where you meet with teams. So guys are like, what's the point of even playing the game? And I like kind of understand that because you could get hurt. And even like at the Senior Bowl, like by the time the game happens on Saturday, like a lot of the GMs have gone home. They're like not at the game. They're not watching it.
So it's all about practice.
So it's all about practice, and it's all about the like one-on-one meetings or the meetings when you like meet with teams and shit. Like it's just kind of it's not a farce, but it's like a convention,
Ugh.
And
God, don't say that word.
I know it's stupid, but that's how the way it's treated.
What was the last convention you were at, Jay?
I don't know. It's been a long time, honestly. Good. I used to go to 4 a year for work.
Really?
Oh yeah, but a lot of it was like just to have fun. Well, I mean, I'd work, but like,
right?
I was down with it because we were just.
Was the last one the one you had? Remember when you came to Minneapolis for one and we got Juicy
That might be
Lucy's
one of the last ones.
Like 4 times in one weekend?
Yeah, that might be one of the last ones.
I took Jay to get
Juicy Mario Kart at that rooftop bar.
Yeah, Up Down.
Yeah, that was sick.
Up Down. I feel like I've been to Up Down.
I've taken you to Up Down.
Yeah.
Did you go on the roof and play Mario Kart on a giant projection TV?
Carrie saved that for you.
Yeah, exactly.
We also played Giant Jenga.
I'm sure we can find a place.
I probably just got COVID there.
You get COVID fucking everywhere. You were so sick at the end of that one trip.
Dude, I've never been that sick in my entire life.
Man, it was the Van Exel jersey, wasn't it? I can't wear the one I just
Was
got.
Was I wearing the Van Exel jersey? Maybe.
You're doomed.
Damn it.
Man.
Damn it.
Thanks, Nick.
No.
Hey, before we get out of here, though, I do want to shout out D Sharp.
Hell yeah.
Ran into him at Gil. He said, "What's up?" Thanks for saying what's up. He also somehow immediately recognized super secret producer Skinder.
I have no idea how that happens.
Hello by name. You must be super secret producer.
The one
Skinder.
guy who's not on the show is the one who gets recognized, sometimes on the freeway by passing cars.
Yeah. Got to see Stan. That was good
Hell
to see
yeah.
Stan.
I love.
Yeah.
Nice. Shout out
Did you see his
Stan.
big blow up Benny?
No, I saw he was sitting just down in front of me with his, I believe, granddaughter, and they're enjoying themselves in the game. So,
oh, cool!
Shout out to Legend Stan. I'm trying to think. I feel like I did bump into some other people.
Did you guys have? That was just a day trip, right?
Oh, it was just like a thanks to super secret producer Skinder. I had the kids in the car, and I'm like, Skins, we're leaving, man. Like, you got to get here. We're not going to be there for tip. And then, typical, like, showed up maybe with a 1 second left on the shot clock, and we get in the car. Yeah. Luckily, with my driving, we shaved some minutes
DeMarco
off.
Minor in the mid range.
Yeah. And then, but we walked in as the lights dimmed for the intros.
Okay.
So we
didn't get a chance to hit local boys or clods or anything like that.
We did. We went over to McMinimans on the way out because I didn't want my kids to be like screaming at me while I was driving on the drive home that they were starving. So hit McMinimans on Monroe.
Father of the year.
Hell yeah. He's always father of the year.
Yeah. They also my Penelope, by the way, within like literally 3 minutes of being inside of Gil Coliseum, we sit in our seats. She sees that right behind where we were sitting, of course, is a little like concession cart that's like, on the baseline side. And there's cotton candy. And she wants it. She wants to keep something. She wants it. I'm like, okay, you know what? Fine. I'll give everyone a little treat. Just keep everyone happy. I get her cotton candy. I go back up to get Skins and I a beer. And when I come back, literally like 3/4 of a bag of cotton candy this big was gone. She ate like the whole thing. She was on one for like the entire first half of the game. And if you already know her, what you two do, her on one was.
This doesn't surprise me at all.
Something incredible.
Cornholio.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like that. Like,
Penelope
on the railings.
Penelope is Cornholio.
Yeah,
for sure.
So yeah, quick in and out because we were late almost, and then I needed to get my kids home because they were driving me nuts.
Sounds reasonable. But you brought home a win, and that's what's important.
It is. It was all me.
All right. Well, that means you just have to be there then for the remainder of the home games, JP. This is what you're saying.
No, I'm going to the Portland game.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Thursday, February 13th.
Yeah, it's a road game, but like kind of.
Benny, you should drive down.
Maybe I should.
It's an 8 o'clock tip, I think. Maybe they're changing the time because I haven't seen the official time, but
it's 7 o'clock, I think.
Okay, because earlier
it says 9 p.m. It says 9 p.m. for me, so that
all right
would mean 7 p.m. for you guys.
Good,
but
I couldn't go to the last Oregon State game at the Child Center with you guys.
If you leave Tacoma at 5, you'll be there in time.
It's Saturday?
Thursday.
No, Thursday.
Thursday, February 13th.
I might dip out of work early.
Yeah.
Do it.
Just put your AI in for you. No one will know.
Yeah. That's what AI's. I mean, if AI is not for getting us out of work early, what's the fucking point?
What is the point?
So, yeah.
That is
Benny,
the point.
Get to the Child Center.
That is the point.
Get to the Child Center on Thursday, February 13th. Hopefully, we're extending our 2-game winning streak after wins against Wazoo and St. Mary's. The soon to be number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, St. Mary's Gales. Especially after they lose to us. Not sure how that works. But it's going to happen. Strength of schedule. Exactly. All right. Great episode. We did it, you guys. Another great episode. Another perfect episode. We've done 171 of them at this point. That's crazy.
Batting 1,000.
Batting 1,000 after 171 at bats. No one's done that.
No one. Not even Tony Gwynn.
No, not even Tony Gwynn. Michael Conforto came close. Travis Bazzano will do it.
He will.
Yeah.
Travis Bazzano's for 171 at bats will all be hits once he gets to the majors. And you thought we weren't going to talk baseball in this episode. We just did for 30 seconds.
Surprise.
Shame on you.
We'll talk more baseball with the entirety of college baseball's national media because his name is Mike Rooney, and we've had him on the show before, and we will again. Thank you for tuning into this episode. We had him on Super Bowl Sunday. It was after the Super Bowl. Do you remember that, Jay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Super Bowl had just ended, and it was just like, hey, Mike, I think we're probably the only 4 people in the world talking college baseball preview right now instead of Bengals Rams. But hey, that's what we're here for. So yeah, maybe we'll make that a Super Bowl tradition with Mike Rooney if we can.
Oh, that'd be great.
So yeah, or the days around the Super Bowl. We'll see. Kendrick
During
Lamar,
the Super Bowl.
In case you didn't hear that, that's
especially this
Assert
Super Bowl.
our dominance.
Belligerent Beavs, Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl, Belligerent Beavs, Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl, Mike Rooney, Kendrick Lamar, Belligerent Beavs, Kendrick Lamar, Mike Rooney Super Bowl. Mike Rooney's going to perform at the Super Bowl. Kendrick's just going to go
Super
like
Bowl.
Mike, and then he's going to be like, here's why TCU is the dark horse in the Big 12. And people are going to be like, whoa, Kendrick's really in his bag. Like,
Wop, wop.
This guy talking college baseball is a subtle diss at Drake because Drake famously hates college baseball. And that's why, my God.
You know who doesn't play in college baseball?
That's
Any
deep.
Canadian team. Eat shit, Drake.
That's true.
Well, shout out to the Canadians on the Oregon State team. We do love you.
Yeah.
That is true. And Canada in general.
Yeah.
I love everyone in Canada
Except
Drake.
Terry wants to be absorbed into Canada. He can't wait.
I didn't say that. But they're a good neighbor.
Inferred.
I love my friends in Winnipeg and Thunder Bay.
They're the neighbor you'll go to if your house burned down.
I was within, and I was less than an hour away from the Canadian border this past weekend. It's beautiful
Those
up there.
decisions you were probably facing, standing there looking north.
at the stars.
At the
do
North
it
Star. Yeah, this North Star Jupiter with Saturn rings is telling me something.
I have a message from JP's son telepathically about
Run towards Jupiter.
Run towards Jupiter. That would have been into Lake Superior, which would have been bad.
Cold.
But cold.
Unless
cold
you
and
know
bad.
the secret shortcut.
That's true. Through the shore. Is it a shortcut or a shore cut? We have to end the episode now.
Yeah, don't tell them. We'll take it off there.
This has been episode 171 of the Belligerent Beavs podcast. And I
171
think we did better.
Kind of works.
It does kind of work. We did better than
And we
Oregon
will
State
do
men's
better.
basketball did in Spokane last night. That is
We
mentioned with
apologize
love.
for not
Coach
doing
Tinkle,
even better.
we love you. We still are drinking the Kool-Aid of this Oregon State men's basketball season and think good things are on the way. So to infinity and beyond. Beat Wazoo. Beat St. Mary's. We'll have an episode before those games happen because they're a long time from now. But whatever. Go
we'll
Joshua Gray
reiterate
in the
it.
Shrine Bowl. Go Beavs. Please like, love, be excellent to each other. Subscribe and support the show in any way you can. Share it with a friend. Give us 5 stars wherever you're listening to your podcast, whether that be Apple, whether it be Spotify, or something new and cool that we don't even know about yet. We're 3 guys in our late 30s now.
No.
Mid to late.
Yeah.
If I'm the young, I'll be 37 and are we all in our late 30s once I turn 37? Can we stop
think
saying
so.
mid to late?
I'll be 39 this year.
Jesus,
I'll be
fucking
38 in a month.
Benny's gonna die this year, so support the show while he's still here. Jesus, thank you so much for rocking with us. It's Belligerent Beavs at Bellig Beavs on Twitter, at Belligerent Beavs everywhere else. BelligerentBeavs.com, BelligerentBeavs.com/merch for all of your baseball needs. Hit up our friends at Seam Headed for your baseball season apparel. We love Seam Headed and are proud to partner with them again for another baseball season. And yeah, like I said, be excellent to each other. Go Beavs. And no matter what, remember, no matter how many points you lose by at the Kennel, no matter how many times you lose to Gonzaga for the first time since 1932, you can't spell chop 'em without hope. So, chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Beavs back, baby.
Kendrick Lamar Super Bowl.